Hi everyone! If you're new here, I'm Alison, and on this channel we dive into the nature of reality and how to actually live what you know deep inside. That life is meant to be joyful, abundant, and full of everything you desire. Today, I want to talk about something that's honestly been the single biggest game changer in my life, and that's the law of assumption. And I want to explain what this law is in a bit more detail, because a lot of people misunderstand it and think that it's all about visualizing correctly or nailing the right feeling or convincing yourself that you already have something that you don't physically have yet. But this law isn't about pretending or faking it till you make it. This law is about discovering what's actually creating your life, whether you realize it or not. So let's unpack it and let's understand it in a way that makes sense and that allows you to practically apply this knowledge and understanding in your own life. So, what is the law of assumption? At its core, it's this simple truth. What you assume to be true about yourself, about life, about others, about the world, becomes the foundation of your reality. Not what you affirm out loud, not what you wish was true, not what you intellectually understand, but what you deeply know to be true. Even if it's quiet, even if you've never spoken it out loud, even if it's subconscious, even if it's completely unconscious. Let me give you an example. If you walk around with a quiet, deep belief that things don't work out for me, that assumption isn't just sitting there, it's actually shaping what your life looks like. Not as a punishment or some cruel trick of fate, but because the deeper level of you, the creative self that's plugged into the infinite, is using that assumption as a kind of instruction manual. It's like saying to the source, hey, this is the reality that I'm choosing to create. Please show me more of that. And the source says, okay, done. And it creates a reality for you that reflects exactly that. It's not listening to the words you're saying. It's not checking how many affirmations you said. It's not checking what you imagined and visualized. It's seeing whatever you know is true. Whatever you know the facts are, and it's producing an image, a reality that matches exactly that. And the thing is, you don't have to be consciously aware of these things for them to be active. They're just underlying things that you're automatically accepting as true, for the most part without ever having even thought about it, because they're things that so obviously have always been this way that it has never even occurred to you that this is something that you're choosing at some level, and that it's completely within your power to change it by assuming something different. And we all do this. We all carry these underlying assumptions that are projecting out the reality that we experience in the world, most of the time without having any inkling that we're the ones doing it and causing things to be this way. Now, here's the good news. The law of assumption is always reflecting those inner settings instantly, which means that all you need to do to get things to change is to learn how to change those settings consciously. So you don't need to fight against anything. You don't need to visualize for hours. You don't need to repeat affirmations till you're blue in the face. You don't need to make sure you're thinking about the fulfillment of your desire every minute of the day. You just need to become aware of what you're already assuming. And from that awareness, you then gently shift the setting. Imagine you're sitting in front of a control panel with loads of buttons lined up on it, and each button is the setting for an assumption. One setting might be, I'm not good enough. Another might be, the source is always supporting me and providing me with everything I want and need. And you get to choose which ones are active. Now, some settings are so deeply ingrained that you won't even realize they're there until you get quiet and start to notice what you're assuming. and notice that you're the one making the choice that this is how things are. So here's how to start discovering the law of assumption in your life. The first step is to notice. Start paying attention to the inner talk that's going on in your head. Start observing your relationship to what's going on around you. When something seemingly bad happens, what do you automatically assume it means? Are you assuming it means that you can't have what you want? Because if you are, then your assumption will cause that reality to be true. Notice that it's not the fact that the seemingly bad thing happened that will cause the bad reality to play out. It's the meaning that you're giving it that will cause that unwanted reality, and not the facts in themselves. And it's really important to be honest with yourself when you're doing this. Don't try to slap a positive thought over a painful one, because that won't do you any good. Just notice what's there. Name it. Own it. That's where your power is. When you do that, you'll start to be able to see what is causing things to be the way they are. You might not know how to shift it yet, but the fact that you can see how convinced you are that this thing is bad and that it's a big problem that this thing happened will serve you so much better than thinking that you're assuming that you're going to get what you want, when clearly this is very, very far from what you're really assuming. Then once you can see what you're really assuming, start to challenge any unwanted assumptions. Start to notice what you're basing it on, what you're putting your trust in. For example, if you went to a job interview and you got rejected, let's say, and you notice that you're now assuming that you're never going to get a job you like. Observe the reasons behind that assumption. Perhaps you have a history of being rejected for jobs, and so you're assuming that since this has happened 20 times already, the likelihood is that this is what's going to continue to happen. But then, if you challenge that assumption, and you remind yourself that everything in this world is forming itself according to the reality that you are choosing, then that explains why things have happened this way so far. And so using that logic, it becomes easier to see that if instead of putting your trust in the physical facts of the current reality, you put your trust in the source that is creating that reality, then it doesn't matter how many times things went wrong in the reality that you chose before, because if you were to now choose to trust the source, and if you were to choose to move into a reality where the source is lining up the perfect job for you, then all those past experiences would automatically take on a different meaning. And all of a sudden, the reason you didn't get those jobs is no longer because you're doomed to never get a job you like, but because those jobs were not the right ones for you. And everything was being lined up for you to lead you to a job that you do like and that really is perfect for you. Then once you've noticed all this, you're probably not in the new assumption yet. You're just able to see the two different possibilities, the two options available to you, the two different realities you can choose from. Most probably, the old unwanted reality will still feel more real, but at least you can see why that feels more real. You can see that the fact that you're unlikely to get a job you like because you've already been rejected 20 times feels a lot more true than the possibility that the source is creating all this on purpose to lead you to the job that is perfect for you. In reality, those two possibilities are entirely equally possible. But it's your feeling that the first one is more true that keeps pulling you back into that reality being true. Now, once you can see that there are these two possible realities available to you, and you can feel that there's one reality that you prefer but that feels unrealistic, and then there's the other reality that you don't like but that feels a lot more realistic, then you can start to allow yourself to shift into the new reality very gently, without force. This isn't a case of making yourself believe 100% without a shadow of a doubt that you're going to get what you want. In my experience, that just doesn't work, and you'd just be trying to fool yourself that you're assuming one thing when you're clearly assuming the complete opposite. But what does work is to just play with it, to try it on, like trying on a coat. Ask yourself, what if things really are working out? What if I let myself believe it's safe to trust? What if this really is all leading to the perfect outcome for me? And by allowing yourself to explore the possibility of this other reality in this way, it's like you're lowering your defenses. It's like you're letting your guard down and allowing your mind to go there and to entertain this possibility. If you try to force yourself to believe it, most probably your mind will start shouting back at you and coming up with all the reasons why there's absolutely no way this is ever going to happen. But by gently letting yourself explore this other reality, it's like you open up that little chink of possibility. And in my experience, that is enough to plant the seed and allow that reality to take hold and to make things start unfolding in that direction. So, to sum it all up, the law of assumption isn't a technique. It's a recognition. It's realizing that you are already creating your life through what you believe to be true. And now you get to choose new beliefs. Not by force, but by choice, by curiosity, by exploring, by remembering who you really are. So that's the invitation. Not to start using the law of assumption to manifest things, but to understand that you already are manifesting absolutely everything and always have been. And from there, if you don't like what you're currently manifesting, you get to choose something new, something more in line with the part of you that knows you're always safe, always loved, and endlessly supported no matter what. Which means that you're completely free to play and explore and take chances and make mistakes, because you'll always be taken care of regardless of the choices you make, and because you're always free to choose again no matter what you chose before. Okay, with that, I'm going to stop here for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to hear more about how to shift your assumptions and how to create from the higher level of yourself, then do subscribe, because there's plenty more to come. Thank you for your support, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.